Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest today. We have with us Diane Calvano. She is the president of the Leicester Historical Society. And we're also going to talk about the Swan Tavern Museum and the Reverend Samuel May Jr. House, which was part of the Underground Railroad up there. That part really fascinates me. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you.
You're
Glad
welcome.
to be here.
That's good to see you. How long have you been with the Historical Society?
Oh, I've been quite a number of years. I've been president for 17.
Yeah.
So when I was a member about 5 or 6 years before that.
That's a long time to be the president of a historical society in this day and age. Where are they located in Leicester?
Our office now is in the Swan Tavern.
Where's the Swan Tavern?
It's right on the Common in Leicester. It's at 1 Paxton Street.
Okay, I haven't been that far. Because that first shop we talked about, you go past that on Route 9, is it? Route 9?
That would be past the center,
Go
yes.
past that. Okay, because I don't think I've ever been up that. Maybe on the back road to Holyoke we did that once. Yeah, it's Route 9, isn't it, sort of?
Main Street is Route 9.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're just off of that.
Well, we have a lot to talk about. When was the Historical Society in Leicester founded?
It started in 1988, and then we incorporated in 1989.
When was the town itself incorporated?
1723.
Wow, long time ago. But that 1988.
I remember it well.
No, you don't. Oh, jeez, no way. But that's 1988. That's awfully recent for it to have just gotten a historical society. Most of them, they go way back into whenever, but...
Well,
wow.
there was one established before that, but evidently it didn't last more than a few years, and nobody kept any records from it.
Yeah.
So when they decided to do it again, they did it in 88, and this time it's stuck.
How many members do you have?
At the moment, we have about 10 to 12 people.
That's good. That's good, because it's hard to get volunteers and members to come in.
It is.
I think I visited one or two in the area, and it's tough, to get enough people there. I don't know why. Maybe not enough people interested in history. I don't know.
The younger people have too many things going on in their lives. They've got children who have to go here and there and all that. They don't have time for that. By the time they rest and have nothing much to do, then they come to us.
Then they come. Yeah. Okay. Now, you've been the president since what year was it that you became president?
2006.
2006. Boy, now, fascinating. Tell us about the Swan Tavern Museum. That's where the society is located now, right?
That's right. In 2019, the town owned the building, the Swan Tavern, didn't want to have to pay for upkeep and so forth, but they didn't know what to do with it. So the society partnered with the Leicester Historical Commission, and we were granted permission to run the building, do the repairs that were needed, renovating, and turning it into the Swan Tavern Leicester Historical Museum.
Is it just a museum, or is it like an inn where you can stay?
No, it's not an inn.
Okay.
No, it's a museum. We also have 2 large rooms in the front, which we open up for people to rent. We've had baby showers, wedding showers, other public groups that need a place to meet have met there.
Right. Can people give, authors give presentations, things like that?
Oh, yes, we had this historical society itself. We put on 6 to 8 programs every year.
Wow.
And they range in era from, we've had reenactor do George Washington. We've had all the way through to John Hancock. We've had people talk about the women's movement for the vote. Mm-hmm. We've had all kinds of topics.
Even authors and
Yeah, as a matter of fact, our this coming June 30th, we have Michael Tugas, who's a famous author.
Yeah.
He's coming to talk about King Philip's War.
Does it have to be an author who is in history, or is it can be another topic?
Generally, we try to relate it somehow to history.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's loosely interpreted too.
How big is the museum? How many rooms have you got?
Well, on the first floor, we have actually 4 public rooms.
Yeah.
And we have a small kitchen, and we have a gift shop.
Yeah.
Other than that, we have about 6 rooms upstairs, which are not handicapped accessible.
Yeah.
So they're, at this point, not open to the public.
Wow.
But the commission has an office there, and the society has our office, and mostly it's for storage.
And you're going to be putting a grant. This was the deadline for the grant?
The grant that I did today was not for the Swan Tavern, it was for the May House.
For the what?
For the May
May House. We're going
House.
to talk about that too.
Yeah.
So the tavern sounds like a huge. Was it Victorian? Can you zero in on that? That's not quite. Is it federal or with Victorian?
It's kind of a mishmash because the
Yeah.
back half was one era, back in the late 1700s, and the big facade in the front was put on in the 1800s.
Yeah, it doesn't look exactly Victorian. You know, remember the Victorian? They have we see them in a lot
Yes,
of the triple
it's not
deckers.
that ornate.
No, not that ornate.
No.
Did you get a good picture of that? Okay. Yeah, it has a very almost a Federalist look to it. Now,
Yeah.
what's this one you've got here?
And this is our newest project, the May House.
It looks just like this one almost.
Very
Almost.
similar, but
Yeah.
it's not as large as the
I love the
Tavern.
columns.
Yes, and this is it has a three-sided porch on it. It belonged to the Reverend Samuel May Jr.,
Yeah.
who was big on the abolitionist movement and also in the women's rights movement. And this house has been proven to be a stop on the Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
Back in 2008, the National Park Service had a big ceremony at the house here
Yeah,
to welcome it to the Network to Freedom.
Have you been into the basement area to see
Yeah.
any of the area? Do they have it? Is it obvious that it was under the Underground Railroad?
No, the place that they probably would have had slaves staying for any length of time would have been out in the barn, which is no longer there.
Or the attic? No attic. Secret
No.
closets?
No, there's not really anything like that. And then because Reverend May was such an outspoken advocate for abolition,
Yeah.
and because he was away from the family for length of time, every time he went traveling, that he was afraid his family would, be
In harm's way.
yes. So if they stayed there at all, they stayed out in the barn. But he has been known to actually accompany a runaway slave, taking him on a stagecoach to get him to the next stop along
Probably
the way.
covering them up, this type of thing, maybe, or something like that. I think
Yeah.
that's awesome. I think out in Worcester, have you heard about it? It's kind of spooky. There are like tunnels.
Yes.
Now the mystery is, was it for the Underground Railroad? Was it speakeasies for bars that had been closed? It's kind of a
Well,
mixture.
there are a lot of tunnels, and there are probably more than one reason why. The Swan Tavern still has a tunnel.
Oh, it has a tunnel.
Yes, it has a tunnel. I wouldn't recommend you trying to go through it
Why?
because it runs under the main street right next to the
Oh.
building. So with the
Okay.
big trucks and all that have been through,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's collapsed. But the one end is at the Swan Tavern. The other end is at the Unitarian Church on the corner opposite.
That's odd.
Well, back then it may have been because of Indian attacks early on.
So that the people in church, whatever, could just go underneath and be safe?
You could go, if they're attacking the tavern, you go underneath and get into the church to protect yourself. Or if you're in the church and that's when under attack, you go into the Swan.
And it's still there.
Yep.
You've seen it?
Oh yeah, there's the trap doors still there. You can see down in there.
Yeah.
People have gone down because in the beginning we used to quite a draft in that part of the building.
Yeah.
And they realized, oh, that's what it is. So they've kind of closed off the opening to the rest of the
I
tunnel.
can imagine I would think there'd be one or two paranormal ghost hunters who have been over there. Am I right? Have they shown up?
Not that I know of, but
Because that would interest them, I would think.
we've been told that there might be a ghost upstairs, but I haven't run into him yet.
How many families lived in that the museum, the tavern, before?
Oh, quite a lot. Its most recent purpose was to house the Leicester Library while the main building of the library was being renovated.
Yeah.
So they were in there for about 3 years. Before that, there was a private family that lived there for 3 or 4 years. And prior to that, it was part of Becker College.
Really?
It
Becker and
was,
Worcester, and then tied to Leicester.
Yeah. Yes,
didn't know
Becker
that.
had a large campus in Leicester as well as the campus in Worcester.
Wow, I didn't know that. Was it a dorm too for the kids, or?
No, it was an administration. At one point, it was the president's house,
Yeah.
and another, it was their administration building.
I'm learning a lot. My gosh, I didn't know that much about that part of the world, Leicester, and what happened there. We're
Well,
talking.
the May House was a dormitory for
it
Becker
was
College.
the main one.
It
We're
was
talking with
wonderful.
Diane Calvano, and she is super. She's the president of the Leicester Historical Society, Swan Tavern Museum, and Reverend Samuel May Jr. House, which was part of the Underground Railroad. Are you running the show on all three of these?
No, not personally.
Okay.
That's a bit too much. But the Historical Society partnered with the Historical Commission
Yeah.
for the Swan Tavern because the Historical Commission wasn't able to raise funds on its own, so
Yeah.
we did that part for them.
Yeah.
Then now with the May House, again we're part of the May House committee,
Yeah.
part of the people who are going to repair it, renovate it, bring it back to life.
This is awesome. How can they reach you, Diane?
They can reach me at my email address, which is my first name, Diane _ Calvano, my last name, Calvano, at yahoo.com.
Now, we have an event coming. Well, before I ask you about that, you just finished writing a, what do you call it, a grant. Now, that's for which?
That's for the May House.
That's for the May House. What do you want to do with the May, if you get the grant?
Well, this particular grant is to allow us to make a handicapped access to the house.
Yeah.
It does not have that at this point, and we feel that it should be open to
Oh,
everyone.
yeah, definitely. So, what are the odds? You think you'll get the grant? I would think so.
I'm hoping.
It can't be that much money to build a ramp. We just got one down here. I mean, I think, don't most, in this state, aren't there rules that say if it's a public place you have to have a ramp now to get in?
Yes, but it's not. It hasn't been a public place now.
Uh-huh.
The Becker College had it as a dormitory.
Yeah.
And it's empty and not used at all during the last 2 or 3 years since
Yeah.
since the college closed. We haven't opened it to the public as yet,
Yeah.
and we want to make sure we have that access before we do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Now, there's something coming up, the Albert B. Southwick Tribute Night. Was he in any way connected with Southwick Zoo? We've had him on
Yes.
the show. Would this be her grandfather or great-great-grandfather?
I believe she's a cousin.
Cousin.
Yeah.
Tell me about this coming up.
Mr. Southwick was a big benefactor for the Leicester Historical Society. We wanted to do something big for him, and so we planned a 100th birthday party, but then COVID came along, and then Mr. Southwick passed away. So this is our way of saying to the world, we appreciated him, we want to recognize what he's been doing for us, and so it's a big event. It's at the Leicester Senior Center
Yeah.
on June 22nd.
Yeah.
Between 5:30 and 6:30, we have a complimentary food truck.
Yeah.
Then we'll have coffee and dessert inside. Then we'll be showing a video that his daughter and granddaughter put together for
Yeah.
him. We also have his family memorabilia. We'll have all of his books on display.
He was an author?
Oh, he wrote about, maybe 14, 15 books about the town of Leicester and about Worcester as well.
I never heard of that. And then you're also invited to share your memories and reminiscences. RSVP by June 10th to Diane _Calvano at yahoo.com. Or, you have your address here, regular mailing address?
Yeah,
No, don't do, okay.
That's all right.
So the
But
Leicester,
they don't have to respond by the 10th, obviously, because that's passed.
yeah,
Just come if you want.
come if you want to. And Winslow Avenue, is that off of Route 9 in Leicester?
It runs parallel to Route 9.
Okay.
If
Someone
you-
like me who's driving along Route 9, how do I get there?
You come into Route 9,
Yeah.
you'll come into the intersection at the middle of the town, and if you take a right, you're on Paxton Avenue,
Okay.
Paxton Street rather, and your first big intersection, there's a blinking light, you take another right, that leads you down to the senior center.
Okay, and is there a nice big sign for people like me who are looking for signs?
Well, it's at 40 Winslow Avenue, so most people can check their,
Yeah.
GPS or whatever they have
This
these
is a
days.
this is good timing. If you get there by 5:30, between 5:30 and 6:30, there's a food truck.
That's right.
It's complimentary, and they have coffee and dessert at 6:30, and then 7 o'clock everything starts. The video tribute display of the books, his photos, memorabilia, and you can share your own memories. Whose idea was this? Was this yours or his family's?
No, it was the society's idea. We did contact the family because we wanted their permission,
Yeah.
and they were thrilled. I mean, the food truck is owned by his grandson.
Uh-huh.
His other relatives are bringing a lot of the desserts that we'll be serving with the coffee.
Yeah.
So it's a family historical society event.
Will you be speaking?
Well, I'll be introducing a couple of people.
You'll be the MC.
But we have an MC. I'm
have
going to
it.
introduce him.
Now, how many people can you fit in there, do you think?
150, 200
that's
people.
good. Oh, that's really good. I don't see that. We have, of course, you just happened to accidentally go up to our new Upton Community Center where the senior center is now and then the library. They got a huge events room in there. I mean, I love that. I really do. How old is the senior center at Leicester?
Oh, it's probably about 20 years old.
Yeah. Well, that's not too bad. That's not too bad.
No, it's relatively new, as buildings go, but it's greatly used. I mean, it never closed during the pandemic. It always had something going on. You could always get there if you needed a place to be. There are programs running all the time. People come from all over other towns to come to the programs there.
How have you lived in Leicester long? Or no, you don't live in Leicester.
I used to live in Leicester, but I now live in the neighboring town.
Yeah, Spencer. Is Spencer? Boy, I'm going to show my ignorance. Is Spencer close to Hudson?
No, Spencer is right next to Leicester. If you keep going on Route 9,
Yeah.
once you get out of Leicester, you're in Spencer.
Okay, it's just a little further up.
Huh? It's where the Spencer Country Fair is every year.
Oh, okay. You keep going. Okay. But that doesn't take you to Brimfield, does it?
No, Brimfield is quite a bit further
Kind of
on.
out west. I think we went that way to get to a hospital in Holyoke one night. We had a relative who was down there, and they had transported from Milford Hospital to Holyoke. I think we took that back road.
Holyoke is still way beyond Spencer.
Long trip.
Yeah.
So what visions do you have for the society now, the Historical Society?
Well, we want to keep going with whatever projects come our way. We now have the May House, and that'll take us a few years to get that up and running as we would like. We've only been at this a few weeks.
Yeah.
The May House, so we're still trying to get our feet wet here and decide what needs to be done and how to raise the money to do it. That's the biggest
Do you do
problem.
tours for people now at these houses yet or not yet?
Well, the Swan Tavern is open to the public on different days, but the May House not yet because it still has a lot of the things left over from the dormitory. We haven't gotten those things cleared out yet.
Yep.
During the last year or two while the house was closed, there was plumbing problems, the pipes burst and so forth, so we have a lot of work to do before we would be ready for more than just a walkthrough.
Yeah, I know that here at the Upton Historical Society, it seems like every year they bring up the school kids and they show them, it's right across the hall here, they show them that, and I'm thinking, it would be great for the Leicester school kids to see all this history.
Yeah. Well, they just moved part of the high school into one of the dorms for Becker College.
You can't, really?
And we're right across the parking lot from that. So
Part of the high school now is, what part would be over separate?
I think they put this junior and senior years over there now. Eventually, they will be moving the whole
To a new building,
high
maybe?
school. Well, it's a building that's new to them. It's part of the Becker College.
That's interesting. I wonder how these junior and senior classes feel about being separated from the school they started out in. Huh.
I don't know, but they've got a beautiful facility.
And they like it.
I'm sure they do.
That's really cool. So they will be the class of 2023. When is graduation?
They had it last week.
Oh, they already got, okay.
Yeah.
So it's only the juniors there.
Yes.
Only over there. We are talking with Diane Calvano, and she is the president of the Leicester Historical Society, right here in Massachusetts. She's very knowledgeable about that, the Swan Tavern Museum over there, and the Reverend Samuel May Jr. House, which was very renowned for the Underground Railroad. Have you been to the library in Leicester and done presentations? Because it's fascinating. Have you done that yet?
No, I've given presentations at the senior center, not at the library. Years ago, before they did all the renovations, the society used to have a room upstairs over the library, and so all of our programs were done at the library. When they closed for renovations, we switched and did all of our programs at the senior center.
Yeah.
And so now we're switched again to the Swan Tavern.
Were you always interested in history, Diane?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Even in school?
Yeah. It was my favorite subject.
History was your favorite? Were you good at math?
Yes, actually. Surprisingly, I was pretty good at math, but I just didn't enjoy it.
You liked history, American history? And
American history major, yeah.
I don't think I've ever met anybody who was really crazy over history classes. I think we endured it because we knew we had to.
Yeah.
But you liked it. Were you the only child or youngest?
No, I have a younger sister.
You have a younger sister, yeah. Yeah, it's some of the classes they have in school. Some of them were the famous older books they had us read in English class. What do they call it? Not tributes. Legendary type books. Do you remember that? The paperbacks, like Johnny Tremaine and some of that stuff?
Oh, yes, yes.
Once in a while they'd hit on something, but it was like you slogged your way through it. Did we do that in history class? I don't remember if we were assigned. I don't.
That's what I did with European history. I kind of just got through that, but my passion was for American history.
Anybody in your family who was like that and loved history?
No, I'm the odd man out.
You're it. You are it.
I'm it.
So now, the Samuel May Jr. House is still being renovated.
Yes.
Okay, when might that be done?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe a couple of years.
It all depends on how much money we can raise, how quickly.
Yeah. It's hard to write a grant, isn't it, from what I hear?
Well, I've been doing it for years now, so it gets a little easier as you go along.
Is it a form that you fill out?
Each grant has a different sort of application.
Yeah.
So if you've been doing it with one group, you can get it done fairly quickly. I have another grant application that's due on the 30th of this month.
Yeah.
For which I have not gotten very much done yet, so I'm under the gun for that one.
Do they send you a check, Diane, or what do they do?
If you're lucky enough to be granted the grant money, they determine whether you're going to get all of what you asked for or part of it, and then yes, they do send you a check.
I'll bet that's a happy day.
Oh yes.
Have you had grants before? Granted?
Oh yes. Well, we had I've had a grant every year for the Swan Tavern. This is the first year I've had one for the May House. The first grant that I wrote for the May House, we just got. We were just approved. We didn't get as much as we asked for, but we got some. And I'm hoping that this next grant will give us some more. Mm-hmm. And then the one on the 30th, hopefully, a little more.
Do these old houses have slanting board floors?
Yes and no. Some of them, like this May House, had tacky linoleum type things put down over the floors. Yeah. A couple of the rooms had carpets, and we have to take all of that up to see what shape the wood floors are in.
Yeah.
And then we were lucky at the Swan. We were able to get all of the carpeting up, and we had all the floors refinished. COVID was good to us then because we could have one or two workmen at a time inside, and they could work away and not have the public walking through.
And hardwood floors can be nicely shined up.
Yes.
That's a big deal in real estate. You ever watch those shows?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's got hardwood floors. And what's the thing in the kitchen? Granite.
Yes.
And then there's something else now. Marble. Something else, stone, countertops.
Yes.
I don't know what's better. What keeps cleaner? I don't really know. Diane, again, how can they reach you?
They can reach me at my email address, which is my name, Diane_Calvano @yahoo.com.
Now, anybody out in Leicester, or can it be anybody who's interested in coming on board? Does it just have to be a Leicester resident?
No. As a matter of fact, when Becker College closed, they left all their alumni groups just hanging. They had no place to meet anymore,
Yeah.
nothing to go see.
Yeah.
So we are partnering also with the Becker Alumni Group. They are, in fact, having their reunion in July, and we have promised that we will let them have a walk through the May House
Yeah.
while they're there at the reunion.
That's great that they can meet there. I mean, basically, when that house went out of, was sold or whatever, they were left kind of high and dry. So where are we going to go now?
Right.
But you reached out.
They reached out to us, to the Historical Society, giving us memorabilia and so forth from the college.
Sure.
And we in turn said, well, why don't you come join us?
Did you go to Becker yourself?
No, I didn't. I went to UMass.
In Dartmouth?
No, I went there when there was only one. It was in Amherst.
Was it just? No, it was co-ed, right?
Yeah.
I have visited the one in, I think I did, in Dartmouth, years ago. Is that the only thing, Dartmouth and Amherst? Is that the only?
I think they have one or two other locations as well.
Okay, wait, a lot of the colleges that were like Plymouth State College, where I went, they have changed it to Plymouth State University, like Worcester State College, Worcester State University, because they've just been getting so big.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. I kind of like it better than just, because it makes it sound much more fancy.
Right.
Thank you for being with us, Diane.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We'll see you next time and be my guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.